Chapter 1. Ryan Porter, the quiet resignation. Ryan Porter stared at the muted glow of his phone screen, thumb hovering over the dating app icon like it was a detonator. He didn't press it. He never did. The app had been sitting there for months, a digital monument to his optimism, or maybe his stubbornness. Either way, it mocked him every time he scrolled past. He tossed the phone onto the couch and leaned back, exhaling slowly. 34 years old, single, and not even bitter about it anymore. Just tired. Tired of the games, the ghosting, the endless carousel of connections that were really just auditions for something casual. He wasn't built for casual. Never had been. Ryan rubbed his jaw, feeling the faint stubble that always seemed to grow faster on weekends. His apartment was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional car passing outside. He liked quiet. It gave him space to think, though lately thinking felt like a trap. He muttered to himself, hookup culture. Great for people who think loyalty is a personality flaw. The words hung in the air like smoke. He wasn't angry. Not anymore. Anger had burned out years ago, leaving behind something colder, sharper. Clarity. He knew what he wanted, and he knew what he wouldn't settle for. That made him an anomaly in a world where commitment was treated like a museum exhibit, something people admired but didn't want to own. Ryan stood and walked to the kitchen, opening the fridge out of habit. Half a carton of eggs, bottled water, leftover takeout. He shut it again. Not hungry, just restless. He leaned against the counter, arms crossed, and let his mind wander back to the philosophy that had become his mantra. You can't turn a party girl into a wife. It sounded harsh, but experience had carved it into him like initials in stone. People don't change because you want them to. Tigers have stripes. You can love the tiger, feed it, protect it, but don't get mad when it doesn't turn into a house cat. He'd learned that lesson the hard way. Ryan could still see the sunlight streaming through the blinds of his old apartment, the cardboard boxes stacked like uneven towers, the smell of fresh tape and stale coffee. Graduation had been a week ago. His future was waiting in another state, shiny and promising. But all he could think about was Brittney Jackson. Same age, same major, same laugh that could derail his entire train of thought. 3 years together, and Ryan had never once questioned their relationship. He didn't need to. She was his person. Or so he thought. She sat cross-legged on the couch, scrolling through her phone, talking about the city he was moving to. They've got this amazing art district, she said, eyes bright. And the food scene? You're going to love it. Ryan smiled faintly, taping another box shut. Sounds good. But the real conversation was circling like a shark beneath the surface. What happens to us? Who says it first? Brittney broke the silence. So, what are we going to do? Ryan froze, tape dispenser in hand. He'd been rehearsing this moment for months. He loved her. He wanted her in his life, but only if she was in it for real. No half measures. No illusions. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the small velvet box he'd been carrying for weeks. He set it on the coffee table unopened. Brittney's eyes widened, then softened into a smile. Ryan. He sat down across from her, heart pounding but voice steady. You mean everything to me. I can see a future with you. But before I make the biggest decision of my life, I need one thing. Her smile faltered. What do you mean? Ryan looked at her, really looked at her, the woman he loved, the life he imagined, and then he said it. I need you to unlock your phone and let me look at it. The words landed like a grenade. Brittney blinked, confused. What? Why? Because trust isn't blind, Ryan said quietly. It's verified. You're asking me to give you my life, my loyalty, my protection, everything, for the rest of our lives. But you won't even give me your phone. For a moment, she didn't move, didn't breathe. But Ryan saw it, the flicker of guilt so fast most people would miss it. He didn't. He knew what was coming. Excuses, not an unlocked screen. Ryan, it's private, she stammered. It's not about us, he stood, sliding the ring box back into his pocket. His chest felt hollow, but his voice was calm. Sometimes the only thing you get to keep from people are the memories. Ryan, wait. He shook his head. I'm not angry. I'm just done. I'm not going to gamble my future on what-ifs. Her eyes filled with tears. Please just talk to me. I have, he said softly. For 3 years. And that was it. No shouting, no slammed doors. Just silence and the sound of Ryan finishing his packing while Brittney sat frozen, realizing too late that choices have consequences. Ryan blinked, pulling himself out of the memory like surfacing from deep water. He hated how vivid it still was, the look on her face, the weight in his chest. 12 years later, and it could still sucker punch him when he least expected it. He walked back to the couch and sat down, staring at the blank TV screen. He wasn't bitter toward Brittney. Not anymore. If anything, he hoped she was happy. He hoped she found someone who gave her what she wanted. He just wished, on those rare, quiet nights, that it had been him. Ryan grabbed his phone again, scrolling through his messages. A couple of group texts from work, a reminder about dinner at his parents' place tonight. He smiled faintly. At least family was simple. Mostly. He opened the dating app, stared at the neon logo, then closed it. Not tonight. Maybe not ever. 34, he muttered. Great job, decent apartment, no criminal record. And still single. What's the prize for that? A lifetime supply of takeout. He chuckled dryly at his own joke, then sighed. Maybe I should get a dog. The thought lingered. A dog wouldn't lie, wouldn't cheat, wouldn't need phone verification. Just food, walks, and belly rubs. Simple. Ryan stood, grabbed his jacket, and decided to take a walk before heading to his parents later. Fresh air might clear his head, or at least drown out the echo of Brittney's voice that still haunted the corners of his memory. Chapter 2. The Brittney backstory. Brittney Jackson had always imagined her life as a series of neat, predictable steps. Graduate college, marry Ryan Porter, build a home together, maybe a dog, maybe 2 kids. It was a good plan, simple, solid, safe. Ryan was the kind of man you could build a life with. Steady, kind, funny in that dry way that sneaks up on you. He didn't play games. He didn't make promises he couldn't keep. He was, in every sense, the opposite of chaos. And then she blew it. The memory was sharp, like glass underfoot. Brittney could still feel the worn fabric of Ryan's couch beneath her legs, the hum of his old box fan in the corner, the smell of cardboard and packing tape. He was moving, starting his first job in another state, and she was trying to sound excited for him. She was talking about the city, the restaurants, the art district, anything but the question clawing at her throat. What happens to us? So, what are we going to do? She finally asked, voice light but heart pounding. Ryan didn't answer right away. He set down the tape dispenser, wiped his hands on his jeans, and reached into his pocket. When he pulled out the small velvet box, Brittney's breath caught. Her pulse leapt. This was it, the moment she'd pictured 100 times. She smiled, stunned and thrilled. Ryan. He didn't open the box, just set it on the coffee table like a challenge. His eyes were steady, calm, but there was something in them she couldn't read. You mean everything to me, he said. I can see a future with you. But before I make the biggest decision of my life, I need one thing. Her smile wavered. What do you mean? I need you to unlock your phone and let me look at it. The words hit like a slap. Brittney blinked, confused. What? Why? Ryan leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Because trust isn't blind. It's verified. You're asking me to give you my life, my loyalty, my protection, everything, for the rest of our lives. But you won't even give me your phone. She stared at him, stunned. Ryan, it's private. It's not about us. He didn't raise his voice, didn't flinch, just stood, sliding the ring box back into his pocket like it had never existed. Sometimes the only thing you get to keep from people are the memories. Ryan, wait, please. I'm not angry, he said softly. I'm just done. And that was it. No fight, no drama. Just finality. He turned back to his boxes, and Brittney sat frozen, her world collapsing in silence. She cried the whole way back to her parents' house, mascara streaking down her cheeks, hands gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping her upright. She replayed every second, every word, trying to twist it into something less devastating. He loved her. He wanted a future. He had a ring. How did it all fall apart in under 5 minutes? When she walked through the front door, her mom looked up from the kitchen island, concern etched across her face. Honey, what happened? Brittney dropped her purse and collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Ryan broke up with me. Her dad appeared in the doorway, eyebrows raised. What? Why? She hiccuped through the story, leaving out the part about the phone at first. She talked about the move, the conversation, the ring box that never opened. Her parents listened, silent and stunned. Finally, her mom asked gently, Sweetheart, what did he say? Brittney swallowed hard. He asked to see my phone. Her dad frowned. And I told him no, she whispered. The silence that followed was heavier than any lecture. Her dad broke it first, voice sharp. So let me get this straight. You're sitting here crying because Ryan broke up with you for not letting him see your phone, but you just admitted you've been going on dates behind his back. Brittney's head snapped up, eyes wide. It wasn't cheating. It was just social. Her dad laughed, a short, humorless sound. Social? Brittney, what do you think I'd do if I found out your mother was going on dates with other men behind my back? The words hit like a hammer. Brittney opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out, because there was no defense, no excuse that didn't sound hollow. Her mom's voice was softer, but no less firm. Honey, you can't build a life on half-truths. Ryan wanted trust, real trust, and you couldn't give it. That night, Brittney lay in bed staring at the ceiling, her father's words echoing in her head. You cheated. She'd spent weeks convincing herself it wasn't that it was harmless, that everyone did it. But Ryan wasn't everyone. Ryan was different, and she'd lost him. Brittney taped the last moving box shut and sat back on her heels, exhaling. New apartment, new city, new chapter. It had taken years of bad dates, empty flings, and therapy sessions to get here, to feel steady again, to stop waking up with regret sitting on her chest like a weight. She'd learned a lot since Ryan. Every cheesy pickup line, every guy who treated her like an option instead of a choice, every hollow promise. It all reminded her what she'd thrown away. Ryan wasn't perfect, but he was real, solid, the kind of man you could trust with your life. And she'd broken that for what? A handful of meaningless nights and the illusion of freedom. She stood, stretching, and glanced around the apartment. It was small but bright, with big windows and hardwood floors. A fresh start. She deserved that, didn't she? After all the work she'd done to fix herself, to own her mistakes, to stop blaming everyone else? Her phone buzzed on the counter. A text from her best friend. Jenna. Drinks tonight? Celebrate the new place. Brittney smiled faintly. Jenna had been there through everything. The tears, the therapy, the endless pep talks. She typed back, rain check, still buried in boxes. She set the phone down and wandered to the window, looking out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Ryan Porter was living his life. She wondered if he was married, if he had kids, if he ever thought about her. She hoped he was happy, truly, because if anyone deserved happiness, it was him. And if she was honest, brutally, painfully honest, he was still the standard she measured everyone else against. No one had come close. Chapter 3. Parallel Lives. Saturday mornings had a rhythm for Ryan Porter. Coffee first, black, no sugar. Then a slow scroll through the news while the city outside stretched and yawned. He liked mornings. They were quiet, predictable. No surprises. Surprises were for people who still believed in luck. Ryan sat at his kitchen table, laptop open, mug steaming beside him. His inbox was clean, his calendar mercifully empty except for dinner with his parents later. He thought about calling a friend, maybe grabbing lunch, but the idea fizzled before it formed. He wasn't antisocial, just selective. People drained him faster than they used to. He clicked through a few headlines, none of them interesting enough to hold his attention. Politics, sports, celebrity drama, noise. He closed the laptop and leaned back, staring at the ceiling fan spinning lazily overhead. 34. Good job. Decent apartment. No criminal record. And still single. He smirked at the thought, remembering the joke he'd made last night. What's the prize for that? A lifetime supply of takeout? Maybe a coupon for therapy? He could hear his mother's voice already, teasing him over dinner. Ryan, you're not getting any younger. When are you going to bring someone home? He'd smile, deflect, maybe make a joke about adopting a dog. It was easier than explaining the truth, that he wasn't afraid of being alone. He was afraid of choosing wrong. Ryan stood, stretched, and grabbed his jacket. He had a gift to buy for his mom. Something small, thoughtful. Candle, maybe, or flowers. Something that said, I appreciate you without screaming I panicked at the last minute. He locked the door behind him and stepped into the crisp November air. Brittney Jackson knelt on the hardwood floor of her new apartment, surrounded by cardboard chaos. She'd been unpacking for hours, and the place still looked like a warehouse. She blew a strand of hair out of her face and sat back, surveying the mess. Progress, she muttered. Sort of. Her phone buzzed on the counter. Jenna again. Seriously, drinks tonight. You need a break. Brittney smiled faintly and typed back, rain check, still buried in boxes. She set the phone down and wandered to the window, looking out at the city she'd called home for exactly 3 days. It was bigger than her last one, louder, faster. She liked it, felt like possibility, like a clean slate. She'd needed that. After years of bad dates, hollow flings, and therapy sessions that peeled her excuses like layers of old paint, Brittney was finally steady again. She'd learned hard truths, the kind that leave scars but make you stronger. She knew what she wanted now, and what she'd never do again. Her mind drifted, uninvited, to Ryan Porter. It always did when she let it. She wondered where he was, what he was doing, if he was married, if he had kids, if he ever thought about her. She hoped he was happy, truly, because if anyone deserved happiness, it was him. And if she was honest, brutally, painfully honest, he was still the standard she measured everyone else against. No one had come close. The downtown streets buzzed with weekend energy. Couples strolling hand in hand, kids tugging at parents, street musicians filling the air with saxophone notes that curled like smoke. Ryan walked past shop windows, scanning for something that felt right. A boutique caught his eye, warm lighting, shelves lined with candles and handmade pottery. Inside, the air smelled like vanilla and cedar. Ryan picked up a candle, turned it over, read the label, Autumn Woods. His mom would like that. Simple, cozy. He grabbed two, one for her, one for himself, and headed to the counter. As he waited, he scrolled through his phone, half distracted. A text from his dad popped up. Don't forget dessert. Your mother made enough food for an army. Ryan smirked, typed back, got it. Tell her I'm bringing wine too. He slipped the phone into his pocket and thinking about candles, dinner, and nothing in particular, he walked out of the shop already thinking about dessert. He was mid-thought a few stores down the sidewalk when he noticed a familiar walk and glanced up. His lips were moving before his brain figured it out. He nodded at the woman, and almost as an afterthought he said, Hey Brittney, and without missing a beat, she glanced at him and said, Hi Ryan. Then nothing. They both continued on their way like their chance meeting never happened. Brittney was on the phone, voice animated as she navigated the crowded sidewalk. No, Jenna. I'm not ghosting you. I swear. I just hang on. She sidestepped a man with a shopping bag, murmured an apology, and kept walking. I promise, next weekend. Drinks, dancing, the whole thing. She was so focused on the call that she didn't notice him at first. Not until she heard a voice, low, familiar, cut through the noise. Hey, Brittney. She glanced up, automatic smile forming. Hi, Ryan. And then 3 heartbeats later, her brain caught up with her mouth. Ryan. Ryan Porter. She stopped dead. So did he. For a moment, the world narrowed to 2 people standing on a busy sidewalk, staring like ghosts who just discovered they were alive. The city noise faded, the crowd blurred, and all Brittney could hear was the pounding of her own heart. Ryan looked older, broader shoulders, sharper jaw, a few lines around his eyes that hadn't been there before. But the eyes were the same, steady, clear, impossible to read. Brittney swallowed hard, phone still pressed to her ear. Jenna, I'll call you back, she whispered, and hung up without waiting for a reply. Ryan slid his phone into his pocket, expression unreadable. Wow, he said finally. It's been a while. Yeah. Her voice was thin, shaky. A long while. They stood there, awkward and silent, until a man with a stroller bumped Brittney's shoulder and muttered an apology. She stepped aside, breaking the spell. Ryan cleared his throat. You look good. So do you. She managed a smile, small but real. Really good. He nodded, glanced at the boutique behind him. I was just, shopping. Me too. She gestured vaguely at the street, like that explained everything. For stuff. Another pause. Longer this time. The kind that feels like a question neither of them knows how to ask. Finally, Ryan said, You want to grab coffee sometime? Catch up. Brittney's heart flipped. Yeah, she said quickly. I'd like that. Cool. He pulled out his phone, handed it to her. Number still the same? She took it, fingers trembling slightly as she typed. Same number, she said, handing it back. Same me. Mostly. Ryan smiled faintly. Mostly, she shrugged. You know, life, therapy, a tragic addiction to scented candles. He chuckled. The sound warm and unexpected. Could be worse. Could be cats. Don't knock cats, she said, grinning now. They're judgmental, but at least they don't ghost you. Ryan laughed. Really laughed. And for a second, Brittney felt like she was 22 again, sitting on his couch, teasing him about his terrible taste in music. He nodded, pocketed the phone. I should, get going. Parents' dinner, right? She stepped back, clutching her bag like a lifeline. It was really good to see you. You too. His voice was quiet, almost careful. I'll text you. And then he was gone, disappearing into the crowd like a dream you wake from too soon. Chapter 4. Coffee and Confessions. Ryan Porter hated waiting. Not because he was impatient, he wasn't, but because waiting gave him time to think. And thinking was dangerous. Thinking led to questions like, what the hell am I doing here? And is this a mistake? And why does my shirt suddenly feel like a bad decision? He tugged at the collar, glanced at the cafe door, and checked his phone for the 5th time in 3 minutes. No new messages. No sorry, can't make it. No, traffic's insane. Rain check? Just silence, which was somehow worse. He'd picked the cafe because it was neutral territory. Bright, cozy, not too loud, not too romantic. The kind of place where you could talk without feeling like you were auditioning for a rom-com. Except now, sitting at a corner table with 2 mugs steaming in front of him, Ryan felt like he was in the opening scene of one. The bell above the door jingled. Ryan looked up and froze. Brittney Jackson walked in like the universe had decided to show off. Hair loose around her shoulders, jeans that looked effortless but probably weren't, a soft sweater the color of storm clouds. She scanned the room, spotted him and smiled. A small nervous curve that hit Ryan like a sucker punch. He stood, because his mother raised him right, and managed a smile that didn't feel half as steady as he wanted. Hey, hey! Brittney crossed the room, weaving through tables like she'd done it 100 times, though Ryan knew she hadn't. Not here. Not with him. Not in 12 years. You look. He stopped himself before saying amazing because that sounded like a line. Good. You look good. So do you. Her smile widened, a little more real now. Really good. Ryan gestured to the chair. Sit, please. She slid into the seat, setting her bag down carefully, like it was a shield she wasn't ready to drop. Ryan sat too, suddenly aware of every sound. The hiss of the espresso machine, the clink of cups, the low hum of conversation. Ordinary noises, but they felt amplified, like the universe was holding its breath. I ordered coffee, Ryan said, nodding at the mugs. Hope you still take it black. Brittney laughed softly. Wow, you remember that. Some things stick. He shrugged, trying for casual and failing spectacularly. She wrapped her hands around the mug, letting the warmth seep into her fingers. Thanks, I still take it black. Some things stick. Ryan smiled at the echo, then cleared his throat. So, 12 years. Yeah. Brittney blew on her coffee, eyes dropping to the table. Feels like yesterday, and also, forever. Ryan nodded because what else do you say to that? He took a sip, buying time, then set the mug down. You look happy. Brittney tilted her head, considering. I am. Mostly. Took a while to get there. Same. Ryan's voice was quiet, almost careful. Life's different now. Brittney smiled faintly. Different how? Please tell me you didn't join a cult. Ryan chuckled. No cult. Just corporate America, which is basically the same thing minus the robes. She laughed. A real laugh this time. And Ryan felt something loosen in his chest. What do you do? Project management. Lots of spreadsheets. Lots of meetings that could have been emails. Sounds thrilling. Oh, it's a wild ride. Ryan deadpanned. Sometimes I color code things. Brittney grinned, shaking her head. Still funny. Still sarcastic, he shot back. Guilty. She sipped her coffee, then leaned in slightly. What about you? Any hobbies? Or is your life just spreadsheets and existential dread? Ryan smirked. Mostly spreadsheets. But I dabble in existential dread on weekends. She laughed again, and Ryan let himself enjoy it. The sound, the way her eyes crinkled at the corners, the way it felt like no time had passed at all. So, Brittney set her mug down, fingers tracing the rim. I've thought about this moment a lot. Ryan's stomach tightened. Yeah. She met his eyes, steady now. I owe you an apology. Ryan blinked. Brittney, no speeches, she said quickly. No excuses. Just, I'm sorry. For everything. For lying. For breaking your trust. For hurting you. The words hung between them, raw and heavy. Ryan stared at her, searching for anger, for bitterness, for something sharp. But all he felt was calm. It's okay, Britt. I'm not angry, he said finally. She frowned. You're not. Ryan laughed. I used to be. Mostly I tried not to think about it. She nodded, eyes bright, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence wasn't awkward this time. It was something else. Something that felt like closure or maybe a door opening. The barista appeared suddenly, balancing a tray of pastries. 2 croissants, she announced cheerfully, setting them down. On the house. You two look like you're in a rom-com. Ryan blinked. Thanks. Brittney bit her lip, trying not to laugh. Do we? Totally, the barista said, grinning. Big reunion energy. Don't screw it up. She walked away, leaving Ryan and Brittney staring at each other, then bursting into laughter. Well, Ryan said, tearing a croissant in half. No pressure. None at all, Brittney agreed, still laughing. Just the fate of our rom-com. Chapter 5. Sparks and skepticism. Ryan Porter wasn't sure what surprised him more. The fact that Brittney had agreed to coffee, or the fact that he'd actually enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. Enough that he was now pacing his apartment like a man who'd just been handed a puzzle with half the pieces missing. He stopped at the window, staring out at the city lights. His reflection looked back at him. Same guy, same steady expression, but something felt different. Lighter, which was ridiculous. One coffee didn't erase 12 years of history. One laugh didn't rewrite the ending of a story that had already been told. Ryan rubbed the back of his neck, muttering to himself. What are you doing, Porter? The question hung in the air, unanswered. He wasn't sure he wanted an answer, because the truth was messy, and Ryan hated messy. Messy was what happened when you ignored red flags. Messy was what happened when you gambled on hope instead of certainty. And yet, he couldn't stop replaying the way Brittney laughed when the barista called them a rom-com. The way her eyes softened when she said, I'm sorry. No excuses, no justifications, just truth. That mattered. More than he wanted to admit. He dropped onto the couch, elbows on his knees, and stared at the floor like it held the secrets of the universe. Was this a second chance? Or a trap disguised as nostalgia? People don't change, right? Tigers have stripes. He'd built his entire philosophy on that truth. But what if, just maybe, some stripes fade? Ryan groaned, dragging a hand down his face. He hated this. Hated the uncertainty. The way his chest felt tight and restless. He was good at decisions. Logical ones. Measured ones. This wasn't logical. This was emotional. And emotions were dangerous. His phone buzzed on the coffee table. He snatched it up, half expecting Brittney's name. It wasn't. Just his best friend, Mark. Mark, how was coffee? Did she throw the mug at you? Ryan smirked, typing back. Ryan, no mug violence. It was good. Mark, good like, I'm deleting her number? Or good like, I'm picking out wedding venues? Ryan rolled his eyes. Ryan, good like good. Stop being dramatic. Mark, dramatic? Buddy, you're texting me at 10 p.m. about your college ex. That's a Netflix series waiting to happen. Ryan tossed the phone aside, laughing despite himself. Leave it to Mark to turn existential dread into stand-up comedy. Brittney Jackson sat cross-legged on her bed, laptop open, a half-empty glass of wine on the nightstand. She was supposed to be unpacking, but instead she was Googling things like signs you're over your ex and how to not sound desperate when texting someone you still like after a decade. The internet was no help, mostly memes and bad advice. She closed the laptop with a sigh and flopped back against the pillows. Her heart was still doing that annoying flutter thing it had been doing since she left the cafe. Coffee had gone better than she expected. Better than she deserved, honestly. Ryan had been calm, kind, even funny. And when she apologized, he didn't flinch. Didn't throw it in her face. Just accepted it. That was Ryan. Always steady. Always decent. Which made her regret sting all over again. Her phone buzzed. Jenna, of course. Jenna. So? Coffee? Spill. Brittney grinned, typing back. Brittney? It was good. Like, really good. Jenna. Define good. Brittney. No awkward silences. No passive-aggressive comments. He laughed. I laughed. There were croissants. Jenna. Croissants equals love. Did he ask you out again? Brittney hesitated, then typed. Brittney. Not yet, but maybe. Jenna. Girl. If he doesn't, you better. Life's short. Brittney set the phone down, chewing her lip. Jenna was right. Life was short. Too short for pride, too short for fear. But was Ryan ready? Was she? Ryan wandered into the kitchen, opened the fridge, stared at the contents like they held answers. Eggs, milk, leftover Chinese. No wisdom there. He grabbed a beer instead, popped the cap, and leaned against the counter. He thought about Brittney's face when she said, "Same me." Mostly. What did that mean? Mostly? Did it mean she'd changed? Grown? Or was it just a cute line to fill the silence? He hated that he cared. Hated that he wanted to believe her. Because believing meant risking. And Ryan didn't risk. Not anymore. His phone buzzed again. Mark, because of course. Mark, you're overthinking. Just see where it goes. Worst case, you get free coffee. Ryan snorted, typing back. Ryan. Worst case, I get my heart stomped again. Mark. Best case, you stop being the guy who spends Saturday nights arguing with his ceiling fan. Ryan laughed, shaking his head. Mark wasn't wrong. He was tired of arguing with ceiling fans. Across town, Brittney stood in front of her bathroom mirror, toothbrush in hand, staring at her own reflection. You're not 22 anymore, she told herself. You don't play games. You don't wait for fate. You make choices. She rinsed, spat, and pointed at her reflection like it was a pep talk. If you want a second chance, you fight for it. Her phone buzzed again. Jenna, relentless. Jenna, text him. Now. Brittney stared at the screen, heart thudding. Then she typed, Brittney, tonight was really nice. I'd love to do it again. She hit send before she could chicken out, tossed the phone on the bed, and buried her face in a pillow. Oh God, she groaned. What did I just do? Ryan was halfway through his beer when the message popped up. He stared at it, pulse kicking like a teenager's. Tonight was really nice. I'd love to do it again. He read it twice, 3 times. Then he smiled. A slow, genuine smile that felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. He typed back, Ryan, me too. Dinner. Her reply came fast. Brittney, dinner sounds perfect. Ryan set the phone down, leaned back against the counter, and let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. Maybe this wasn't a mistake. Maybe this was something else. Something worth the risk. Chapter 6. Dinner Plans and Disasters. Ryan Porter stared at his closet like it was a multiple-choice test he hadn't studied for. Button-down or polo? Dark jeans or slacks? He'd never cared this much about clothes. Not for work, not for parties, not even for weddings where he was a groomsman. But tonight wasn't just dinner. Tonight was something else. Something that made his pulse tick faster than he liked. He pulled out a navy button-down, held it up, frowned. Too formal? He swapped it for a gray polo. Too casual? He groaned, tossing both onto the bed. His phone buzzed. Mark, because of course. Mark. How's the wardrobe crisis? Ryan typed back. Ryan. I hate you. Mark. That's fair. But seriously, wear the navy. Women love navy. It says, I'm trustworthy but also fun. Ryan. Pretty sure a shirt doesn't say that. Mark. Buddy. Everything says something. Shoes, watch, haircut. Even socks. What socks are you wearing? Ryan stared at his socks. Plain black. Ryan. Normal socks. Mark. Tragic. You need personality socks. Like stripes. Or tacos. Ryan. I'm not wearing taco socks to dinner. Mark. Your loss. Tacos are a power move. Ryan tossed the phone aside, laughing despite himself. Leave it to Mark to turn fashion into a TED Talk. He settled on the navy shirt because apparently it said trustworthy but fun, and dark jeans. Clean, simple, safe. He wasn't trying to impress Brittney with flash. He wanted real. Always had. Brittney Jackson was having her own crisis. Hair. Straight or curled. Down or up. She changed her mind 4 times and was now staring at the mirror like it had betrayed her. Why is this so hard? She muttered, yanking the curling iron plug from the socket. It's just dinner. Not a proposal. Not a wedding. Just dinner. Her reflection raised an eyebrow like it didn't believe her. She sighed, smoothing her hair into loose waves and stepping back. Okay, not bad. She grabbed her favorite sweater, a soft burgundy that made her feel confident without screaming look at me, and paired it with dark jeans and ankle boots. Casual but polished. like she hadn't spent an hour debating existential hair questions. Her phone buzzed. Jenna, naturally. Jenna. Pics. I need pics. Brittney snapped a quick selfie, sent it. Jenna, girl, you look amazing. He's going to melt. Brittney, it's just dinner. Jenna, sure, and I just watch Netflix for the plot. Brittney laughed, tossing the phone on the bed. She grabbed her bag, checked her lipstick one last time, and whispered to herself, "You've got this." Ryan gripped the steering wheel, trying not to overthink. The restaurant was nice but not pretentious. A cozy Italian place with warm lighting and brick walls. He'd picked it because it felt safe. Familiar. The kind of place where you could talk without shouting over a DJ or pretending to understand a menu written entirely in French. He parked, checked his watch, and stepped out into the cool evening air. His stomach was doing that annoying flip thing it hadn't done since college. He hated it, and secretly loved it. Brittney was already there, standing near the entrance, scrolling her phone. When she looked up and saw him, her smile was instant, and Ryan felt something in his chest loosen. "Hey," he said, smiling back. "Hey." She tucked her phone away, and for a second, they just stood there, taking each other in like they were trying to memorize the moment. "You look." Ryan stopped himself before saying amazing again. "Great. So do you." Her eyes flicked to his shirt. "Navy. Good choice." Ryan chuckled. "Apparently it says I'm trustworthy but fun." Brittney laughed, shaking her head. "Who told you that?" "Mark." "Ah, the infamous Mark. Still giving unsolicited advice. Always." The hostess led them to a corner table, candles flickering softly. Ryan pulled out Brittney's chair, because his mother raised him right, and sat across from her. Menus in hand, they scanned the options. Brittney grinned. "Okay, important question. Are you still a spaghetti guy?" Ryan smirked. "Guilty. But tonight I might branch out. Maybe lasagna. Live dangerously." "Wow, look at you, Mr. Adventure. Don't judge. Lasagna is a big commitment." She laughed, and Ryan felt that same warmth from the cafe, easy, familiar, like slipping into an old favorite sweater. They ordered spaghetti for him, chicken piccata for her, and settled in. The talk flowed, light and steady at first. Work, family, the city. Then deeper, like the tide pulling them out. "So," Brittney said, twirling her water glass, "any big life changes? Marriage? Kids?" Ryan shook his head. "Nope. Still single. Still figuring things out." "Same." Her voice was soft, almost careful. "I thought I had it all figured out once." Ryan met her eyes. "We both did." Silence stretched, not awkward, just heavy with things unsaid. Brittney broke it first, smiling faintly. "Remember that time we tried to cook together? Sophomore year." Ryan groaned. "The stir-fry disaster. You set off the smoke alarm. You added soy sauce like it was holy water." They laughed, and the weight lifted, replaced by something lighter. Something hopeful. Halfway through dinner, the waiter appeared with a bottle of wine Ryan hadn't ordered. "Compliments of the couple celebrating their anniversary," he said, setting it down. Ryan blinked. Thanks." Brittney raised an eyebrow. "Couple?" The waiter grinned. "You two look happy. Figured you'd toast to something." He walked away, leaving Ryan and Brittney staring at each other before bursting into laughter. "Well," Ryan said, pouring the wine. "Happy Tuesday." "Happy Tuesday," Brittney echoed, clinking her glass against his. Chapter 7. The apology draft. Brittney Jackson sat cross-legged on her bed, laptop open, a blank document staring back at her like a dare. The cursor blinked, impatient. She'd been staring at it for 20 minutes, chewing the end of her pen like it held answers. Neither did the glass of wine on her nightstand, though she was halfway through it anyway. She typed 2 words, "I'm sorry," then deleted them. Too short, too vague, too everything. She groaned, flopping back against the pillows. "Why is this so hard?" she muttered to the ceiling. "It's just an apology. People do it all the time. There are entire TikTok tutorials." Her phone buzzed. "Jenna, naturally." "Jenna, how was dinner? Did you kiss him? Please tell me you kissed him." Brittney typed back. "Brittney, no kiss, just dinner, and wine, and laughter. It was amazing." "Jenna, girl, you're glowing through text. What's next?" Brittney, "Next is, I don't know. I think I need to tell him everything." Jenna, "Everything, everything?" Brittney, "Everything, everything." Jenna, "Bold move. But honestly, do it. No games, no half-truths. Just rip the Band-Aid." Brittney stared at the screen, Jenna's words echoing in her head. Rip the Band-Aid. Easy for Jenna to say. Jenna wasn't about to confess a decade-old mess to the man she still, well, liked. Maybe more than liked. She closed the laptop and grabbed her old leather journal from the nightstand. If she couldn't type it, maybe she could write it. She flipped to a blank page, uncapped her pen, and started scribbling. "Dear Ryan, I'm sorry. For lying. For breaking your trust. For hurting you. I thought I was being smart, keeping my options open. I thought it wasn't cheating because it was just dates. But it was betrayal. And you didn't deserve that. You deserved honesty. You deserved better than me at 22. She paused, tapping the pen against the page. Too formal? Too heavy? She wanted honesty, not a confession that sounded like a courtroom statement. She crossed out the first paragraph and started again. Ryan, I messed up. Big time. I thought I was being independent, but really I was being selfish. You were the best thing in my life, and I threw it away because I was scared of settling down. Turns out I wasn't scared of settling down, I was scared of growing up. Better. Still raw, but less like a deposition. Her mind drifted to college. The nights she and Ryan stayed up late talking about everything and nothing. The way he'd make her laugh with that dry humor that sneaks up on you. She remembered the stir-fry disaster. The smoke alarm blaring while Ryan fanned the air with a textbook. She smiled, writing, remember sophomore year? The stir-fry? You set off the smoke alarm, and I swore you were going to burn the apartment down. You laughed like it was nothing. That's what I loved about you. You never panicked. Even when I did. She stopped, staring at the words. Loved. Past tense. Except it didn't feel past tense. Not tonight. Not after dinner. Brittney flipped to a fresh page and started listing names. Every guy she dated since Ryan. Not because she planned to share it, but because it reminded her why she was here, writing this apology instead of texting someone else. Ethan thought Netflix and chill was a personality trait. Greg brought his mom to our second date. Tyler tried to sell me essential oils halfway through dinner. She laughed out loud, shaking her head. Every bad date, every hollow smile, every cheesy pickup line had been a neon sign flashing Ryan was the real deal. And she'd thrown him away for what? A handful of meaningless nights and the illusion of freedom. She closed the journal, heart thudding. Enough drafts. Enough lists. She knew what she wanted to say. No speeches. No justifications. Just truth. Her phone buzzed again. Jenna, relentless. Jenna, did you write the apology? Are you sending it? Brittney typed back. Brittney, not sending. Saying, in person. Jenna, girl, that's terrifying. I love it. Brittney smiled, tossing the phone aside. Terrifying, yes, but necessary. If she wanted a second chance, she had to earn it. And that started with honesty. Ryan was sprawled on his couch, remote in hand, pretending to watch a documentary about space exploration. He wasn't absorbing a word. His mind was stuck on Brittney, her laugh, her smile, the way she said, next time you're cooking. He'd laughed, but the idea didn't scare him. Not like it used to. He thought about trust, about stripes, about the philosophy he'd clung to for years. People don't change. Tigers have stripes. But Brittney didn't feel like the same person. She felt older, wiser, softer around the edges, but stronger too. His phone buzzed. Mark, because of course. Mark, so? Did you propose yet? Ryan snorted, typing back. Ryan, dinner, not a proposal. Mark, baby steps. Next time, taco socks. Ryan laughed, shaking his head. Taco socks, he muttered. Right? He set the phone down, staring at the ceiling. He wasn't sure where this was going. But for the first time in years, he wanted to find out. Chapter 8. Dinner with the parents. Ryan Porter pulled into his parents' driveway, the familiar brick house glowing warm against the cool November dusk. He killed the engine, grabbed the gift bag from the passenger seat, and sat for a moment, staring at the porch light. He loved his parents, really he did, but tonight felt different. Tonight, he was carrying a secret like a fragile glass in his chest. He stepped out, crunching across the gravel, and rang the doorbell. The door swung open almost immediately, because his mother had a sixth sense for arrivals. Ryan! She exclaimed, pulling him into a hug that smelled like rosemary and home. You're late. 5 minutes, Ryan said, smiling. Traffic. Excuses, she teased, taking the gift bag. What's this? Candle, Ryan said. Autumn woods. Her eyes lit up. My favorite. You remembered. Ryan grinned. Some things stick. The kitchen was a symphony of clinking dishes and simmering pots. His dad stood at the stove, stirring something that looked suspiciously like gravy but smelled like heaven. Hey, sport, his dad said without turning. Grab a beer. Or wine. Your call. Ryan opened the fridge, scanning the options. Beer's fine. He popped the cap and leaned against the counter, watching his parents move in their well-rehearsed dance. His mom plating vegetables, his dad tasting sauce like a man auditioning for a cooking show. So, his mom said, glancing over her shoulder. How's work? Busy, Ryan said. Lots of meetings. Lots of spreadsheets. His dad snorted. Sounds thrilling. Ryan smirked. It's a wild ride. Sometimes I color code things. His mom laughed, shaking her head. Still sarcastic. Guilty, Ryan said, sipping his beer. Dinner was served. Roast chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans that looked too perfect to be accidental. They sat, plates full, and for a few blissful minutes, conversation stayed safe. Work updates, neighborhood gossip, the weather. Then his mom struck. So, she said, carving into her chicken. Any news? Ryan blinked. News. You know. Her eyes sparkled. Romantic news. Ryan groaned. Mom! What? She shrugged, all innocence. You're 34. I'm allowed to ask. His dad chuckled. She's been waiting all week to bring this up. Ryan shook his head, laughing. No news. His mom narrowed her eyes. That's a lie. Ryan froze. What? You're smiling, she said, pointing her fork at him like a weapon. You only smile like that when something's up. Ryan tried for casual. I smile all the time. Not like that, she said. That's a someone texted me and now I'm giddy smile. Ryan laughed because denying it was pointless. His mom could read him like a book she'd written herself. Fine, Ryan said, setting down his fork. I had coffee. And dinner. His mom's eyes widened. With who? Ryan hesitated, then said it. Brittney. The silence was instant and heavy, like someone hit pause on the universe. His dad looked up from his plate, eyebrows raised. His mom blinked, then broke into a grin so wide it could power a small city. Brittney Jackson? She said, voice climbing an octave. From college? Ryan nodded, bracing for impact. Oh my God. His mom clapped her hands. I loved Brittney. She was so sweet. What happened with you two again? Ryan sighed. Long story. His dad smirked. We've got time. Ryan shook his head, laughing. Not tonight. His mom leaned forward, eyes sparkling. So, how was it? Ryan hesitated, then smiled. Good. Really good. His mom squealed, and Ryan groaned. Mom! What? I'm happy, she said. You've been single forever. I was starting to think you'd marry your spreadsheets. His dad chuckled. At least spreadsheets don't talk back. Ryan laughed, shaking his head. You two are impossible. His mom wagged a finger. Listen to me, Ryan Porter. If Brittney wants a second chance, you give it to her. Life's too short for grudges. Ryan smiled faintly. It's not about grudges. Good, she said, satisfied. Because I'm already planning the wedding. Ryan choked on his beer. Mom! His dad grinned. Make sure the taco socks are part of the tux. Ryan groaned, burying his face in his hands. I hate you both. They laughed, and Ryan laughed too, because for the first time in years, the teasing didn't sting. Felt good, hopeful, like maybe his mom wasn't entirely wrong. Later, driving home under a sky scattered with stars, Ryan replayed his mom's words. Life's too short for grudges. He wasn't holding a grudge. Not anymore. But he was holding something else. Something fragile and dangerous and thrilling. Hope. And tomorrow he'd see Brittney again. Chapter 9. The honest conversation. Ryan Porter wasn't nervous often. He'd given presentations to executives, negotiated contracts worth millions, and handled crises that made lesser men sweat through their suits. But tonight, his palms were damp, and his heartbeat was doing double time like he just sprinted up 10 flights of stairs. He stood at the edge of the park, hands shoved in his jacket pockets, scanning the winding path for Brittney. The air was crisp, the sky streaked with orange and violet as the sun dipped low. It was the kind of evening poets wrote about, quiet, soft, full of promise. Ryan wasn't feeling poetic. He was feeling exposed. Then he saw her. Brittney walked toward him, hair loose around her shoulders, burgundy sweater glowing warm against the fading light. She smiled when she spotted him. Small, tentative, but real. And just like that, Ryan's chest loosened. Hey, he said, voice steady despite the chaos inside. Hey, she stopped in front of him, breath puffing in the cool air. Thanks for meeting me. Of course. He gestured toward a bench under a sprawling oak. Want to sit? She nodded, and they walked in silence, the crunch of leaves underfoot filling the space between them. When they sat, Ryan turned slightly, studying her profile. She looked calm, too calm, which meant she was probably as nervous as he was. So, Ryan said, clearing his throat, you said you wanted to talk. Brittney nodded, fingers twisting in her lap. Yeah. I've been thinking a lot since we ran into each other. Ryan waited, patient. He'd learned that from his dad. Sometimes silence was the best invitation. Finally, Brittney looked at him, eyes steady now. I owe you an apology. Ryan's chest tightened, but he kept his voice even. Brittney? No. She shook her head, cutting him off. Please, let me say this. He nodded, and she took a breath like she was diving underwater. I'm sorry, she said, voice trembling but clear. For lying. For breaking your trust. For hurting you. Back then, I thought I was being smart, keeping my options open, doing what everyone said I should do. I told myself it wasn't cheating because it was just dates. But it was betrayal. And you didn't deserve that. Ryan stared at her, the words hitting like stones and feathers all at once. Heavy, but soft with sincerity. I've carried that regret for years, Brittney continued, eyes bright now. Every bad date, every hollow relationship, every time I thought about what I lost, it all came back to that moment in your apartment. You asked for honesty and I gave you excuses. You deserved better than that. Better than me at 22. Her voice cracked, and Ryan felt something shift inside him. Something he hadn't expected. Not anger, not bitterness, just release. He exhaled slowly, leaning back against the bench. I'm not angry, he said quietly. Brittney blinked. You're not. No, he shook his head. I was, for a while. But we were kids. We made choices. We lived with them. We learned. She swallowed hard. I learned a lot. Me too. Ryan's voice softened. And for what it's worth, I appreciate you saying that. Brittney nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. She laughed softly, wiping them away. God, I didn't mean to cry. Ryan smiled faintly. It's okay. I've seen worse. She laughed again. A shaky, broken laugh that somehow made Ryan want to laugh too. And just like that, the tension cracked, replaced by something lighter. Something fragile but real. A jogger passed by, earbuds in, glancing at them with a grin. Proposal? He called out. Ryan blinked. What? Proposal? The jogger repeated, jogging backward now. Big vibes. Brittney burst out laughing, covering her face with her hands. Ryan groaned, shaking his head. This city. The jogger waved and disappeared down the path, leaving them both laughing until Brittney's tears were gone and Ryan's chest felt strangely warm. When the laughter faded, Brittney looked at him, eyes steady again. So, where does this leave us? Ryan hesitated, staring at the oak branches above them. He could feel the old fear creeping in, the fear of risking, of gambling on hope. But then he thought about his mom's words. Life's too short for grudges. And maybe, just maybe, too short for fear. He looked at Brittney. I don't know, he said honestly. But I'd like to find out. Her smile was slow, tentative, but it lit her whole face. Me too. They sat there as the sun slipped below the horizon. Two people who had broken and healed and somehow found their way back to the same bench. No promises. No guarantees. Just possibility. And for Ryan Porter, that was enough. Chapter 10. Testing the waters. Ryan Porter had never considered minigolf a high-stakes activity. Until tonight. Standing under a string of twinkling lights at a retro-themed course, putter in hand, he realized this was more than a game. This was a test. Not of skill, but of chemistry. Could they laugh together? Could they handle awkwardness without imploding? Could they just be? Brittney Jackson was already laughing, which felt like a good sign. She stood at the first hole, eyeing the neon windmill like it was a boss level in a video game. Okay, she said, grinning at Ryan. Winner gets bragging rights. Loser buys dessert. Ryan smirked. Bold of you to assume you're not buying dessert. Oh, I'm buying dessert, Brittney said, lining up her shot. For myself, after I win. She swung. The ball ricocheted off the windmill, bounced twice, and landed in the hole like it had been scripted. Brittney threw her arms up. Yes, did you see that? Ryan chuckled. Beginner's luck. Confidence looks good on you, she teased, handing him the putter. Let's see if you can back it up. Ryan lined up his shot, steady and focused. He was good at precision. He thrived on control. He swung, and watched in disbelief as the ball veered left, hit a rock, and rolled into the fake pond. Brittney gasped, then burst out laughing. Oh my God, did you just? Ryan groaned, retrieving the ball with the dignity of a man whose pride had taken a hit. It's a warm-up. Sure, Brittney said, grinning. Warm-up for humiliation. Ryan shook his head, laughing despite himself. Enjoy it while it lasts. They moved through the course, trading jokes and mock trash talk. Brittney was surprisingly good, or maybe Ryan was surprisingly bad. Either way, she was winning and loving every second. Hole in one, she crowed at the pirate ship hole, doing a little victory dance. Ryan raised an eyebrow. That's excessive. It's called confidence, she said, winking. You should try it sometime. Ryan chuckled, lining up his shot. Confidence isn't the problem. Physics is. Blame the laws of nature, Brittney said, laughing. Classic. At the ninth hole, a loop-de-loop contraption that looked like it belonged in a carnival. Ryan decided to redeem himself. He swung hard, maybe too hard. The ball shot up the ramp, flew off the track, and landed in a stranger's nachos. The stranger blinked. Ryan froze. Brittney clapped a hand over her mouth, eyes wide, then dissolved into laughter so hard she had to lean on the railing. I'm so sorry, Ryan said, retrieving the ball while the stranger waved him off, chuckling. Physics, he muttered, earning another fit of giggles from Brittney. By the time they reached the last hole, Brittney was ahead by 5 strokes. Ryan surrendered gracefully, handing over his putter. Dessert's on me. Victory tastes sweet, Brittney said, grinning. Literally. They walked to the cafe next door, the night air cool and soft. Conversation flowed easily, about work, family, old college memories. Then, as they sat with slices of cheesecake and steaming coffee, the laughter faded into something quieter, something heavier. Brittney set down her fork, eyes on Ryan. You know, she said softly, I didn't expect this. Ryan tilted his head. Expect what? This. She gestured between them. Us, laughing, talking, feeling normal. Ryan nodded slowly. Me neither. She hesitated, then added, I was scared you'd hate me. Ryan's voice was calm. I don't. Why? Her eyes searched his. You had every right. Ryan thought about it, the years of silence, the hurt, the philosophy he'd built like armor. Then he said simply, because holding on to anger doesn't fix anything. And because I missed this. Brittney's breath caught. Me too. The waiter appeared suddenly, dropping the check with a grin. You two are adorable, he said. First date. Ryan blinked. Brittney laughed, cheeks flushing. Something like that. Well, the waiter said, winking, don't screw it up. He walked away, leaving Ryan and Brittney laughing until the tension melted like sugar in coffee. Chapter 11. The big question. Ryan Porter wasn't sure when the night stopped feeling like a date and started feeling like a turning point. Maybe it was the laughter over cheesecake. Maybe it was the way Brittney looked at him when she said, I missed this. Or maybe it was now, walking side by side down a quiet street, the glow of street lamps painting soft halos on the pavement. He shoved his hands into his jacket pockets, trying to keep his thoughts from spiraling. He wasn't a man who spiraled. He was logical, steady, the guy who made lists and plans and backup plans. But tonight, logic felt like a flimsy umbrella in a hurricane. Beside him, Brittney was quiet too, her boots clicking softly against the sidewalk. She glanced at him, then away, then back again, like she was rehearsing something in her head. Ryan broke the silence first. You okay? She smiled faintly. Yeah, just thinking. Dangerous, he teased, earning a laugh that loosened his chest. Thinking was dangerous. Brittney knew that better than anyone. Thinking had led her to excuses, to bad decisions, to years of regret. But tonight, thinking felt necessary. Because this wasn't just dinner. This wasn't just mini-golf and cheesecake and jokes about physics. This was something else. Something that deserved honesty. She stopped walking, turning to face him under the glow of a street lamp. Ryan. He stopped too, brows lifting. Yeah. I need to ask you something. His stomach tightened. Okay. What do you want? Brittney's voice was soft but steady. Not tonight. Not next week. Big picture. What do you want? Ryan stared at her, the question hitting like a jolt. He'd spent years avoiding it because wanting meant risking and risking meant losing. But now, with Brittney standing there, eyes bright and unflinching, he couldn't dodge it. He exhaled slowly. I want something real. Brittney's breath caught. Me too. Ryan searched her face, looking for hesitation, for doubt. He didn't see it. Just truth. Raw and simple. I'm not the same guy I was in college, Ryan said quietly. I'm not looking for games. I'm not looking for placeholders. Brittney nodded. Neither am I. I need trust, he added. Real trust. You'll have it, she said, voice trembling but sure. If you give me a chance, you'll have it. Ryan felt something shift inside him, something heavy sliding off his shoulders. He believed her. Against all logic, against all the rules he'd written for himself, he believed her. A car honked nearby, breaking the tension. A guy leaned out the window, grinning. Kiss her already. Brittney laughed, covering her face with her hands. Ryan groaned, shaking his head. This city. The car sped off, leaving them both laughing until the weight of the moment felt lighter, sweeter. When the laughter faded, Ryan looked at her, really looked at her. The curve of her smile, the warmth in her eyes, the way the streetlight turned her hair into a halo. He wanted to kiss her. God, he wanted to. But he didn't rush. Not this time. Not yet. Instead, he said, Dinner again? Brittney smiled, slow and certain. Dinner again. Back in his apartment, Ryan sat on the edge of his bed, staring at his phone. He could still feel the echo of her words. You'll have it. He believed her, and that scared him, but it also thrilled him. He typed a message. Ryan, tonight was good. Really good. Her reply came fast. Brittney, it was. Thank you. Ryan, next time taco socks. Her laugh came through in the form of an emoji and Ryan smiled, really smiled, the kind that reached his eyes. Across town, Brittney curled up on her couch, phone in hand, heart light for the first time in years. She didn't know where this was going, but she knew one thing. She wasn't going to waste another second pretending she didn't care. She typed back, Brittney, deal. But only if you promise not to throw golf balls into strangers' nachos again. Ryan's reply, Ryan, no promises. She laughed, setting the phone down, and whispered to herself, please let this work. Chapter 12. Stripes and Second Chances. Ryan Porter stood at his kitchen counter, staring at the simmering pot of marinara sauce like it was a live grenade. Cooking had never been his strong suit. College Brittney could attest to that. But tonight he was determined. Because tonight wasn't just dinner. Tonight was a statement. Promise. A fresh start. He stirred the sauce, checked the garlic bread in the oven, and muttered to himself, don't burn. Please don't burn. His phone buzzed on the counter. A text from Brittney. On my way. Hope you didn't order takeout. Ryan smirked, typing back, no takeout. Brace yourself. He set the phone down, exhaled, and glanced around the apartment. Candles lit, table set, wine breathing like it had something to prove. It wasn't fancy, but it was intentional. And that mattered. The knock came 15 minutes later. Ryan wiped his hands, opened the door, and froze for a second, because Brittney looked like every good memory wrapped in something new. Burgundy sweater again, jeans, boots, hair loose. Simple. Perfect. Smells amazing, she said, stepping inside. Don't jinx it, Ryan replied, grinning. I'm one garlic bread away from disaster. She laughed, and the sound filled the apartment like sunlight. Need help? Only if you're willing to risk your life. Always, she said, and Ryan felt that familiar warmth bloom in his chest. They sat at the table, plate steaming, wine poured. Brittney took a bite, eyes widening. Ryan, this is good. He blinked. Seriously, seriously, she grinned. You've evolved. Ryan chuckled. I try. They ate, talked, laughed, about work, family, the absurdity of adulthood. But beneath the easy banter, something heavier hummed. Something waiting. Halfway through dinner, Brittney set down her fork, eyes steady. Can I ask you something? Ryan nodded. Anything. Do you still believe it? She asked softly. That people don't change? That tigers have stripes? Ryan froze, the question slicing through the air like a blade. He'd said those words years ago. Angry, hurt, certain. They'd become his armor, his mantra. But now, looking at Brittney, he wasn't sure. He leaned back, considering. I used to, he said finally. I thought people were fixed. That who you are at 22 is who you'll be forever. And now, Brittney's voice was barely above a whisper. Ryan met her eyes. Now, I think stripes can fade. If you want them to. Her breath hitched, and Ryan felt the weight of 12 years shift, like a door opening, like light flooding in. I wanted them too, she said quietly. For a long time, I worked on myself. Therapy, reflection, owning my mistakes. I didn't do it for you. I did it because I hated who I was back then. But, if it means anything, I'm not that girl anymore. Ryan studied her face, the honesty in her eyes, the steadiness in her voice. He believed her. Against all logic, against all the rules he'd written for himself, he believed her. The oven timer beeped suddenly, loud and shrill. Ryan jumped, muttering, damn garlic bread. Brittney laughed, covering her mouth. Romantic moment ruined by carbs. Ryan grinned, retrieving the bread. Story of my life. When he returned, Brittney was smiling, soft, warm, full of something Ryan hadn't seen in years. Hope. He set the bread down, sat across from her, and said the words that had been sitting in his chest all night. I want to try, he said simply. No guarantees, no promises, just try. Brittney's eyes shimmered. Me too. They cleared the table, laughing over Ryan's tragic attempt at plating, and ended up standing in the kitchen, inches apart. The air felt charged, not with pressure, but with possibility. Ryan looked at her, really looked at her, and said, You're sure? She nodded. I'm sure. And then, finally, he kissed her. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't desperate. It was slow, steady, like everything they'd been building toward. 12 years of silence melting into something new. Later, as they sat on the couch, wine glasses in hand, Brittney teased, So, stripes can fade? Ryan smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Sometimes, if the tiger wants them to. She laughed softly, leaning into him, and for the first time in years, Ryan Porter didn't feel like he was gambling. He felt like he was home. Chapter 13. Epilogue. 6 months later. Ryan Porter had never thought he'd be the kind of guy who owned taco socks. Yet here he was, standing in his kitchen on a Saturday morning, wearing navy pajama pants and socks covered in tiny tacos, flipping pancakes like a man who had conquered his culinary demons. Those socks are a crime, Brittney said, leaning against the counter with her coffee, hair in a messy bun, sweater hanging off one shoulder. She looked like home. She looked like everything Ryan didn't know he'd been missing. They're a power move, Ryan replied, sliding a golden pancake onto her plate. Mark says they signal confidence. Mark also thinks cargo shorts are a personality trait, Brittney deadpanned, earning a laugh from Ryan that filled the apartment like sunlight. The kitchen was a mess, flour on the counter, syrup dripping down the bottle, a spatula balanced precariously on the edge of the sink. Brittney surveyed the chaos, grinning. You know, for someone who color-codes spreadsheets, you're alarmingly bad at kitchen organization. Ryan smirked. Controlled chaos. Controlled. She gestured to the syrup puddle. That's a crime scene. Ryan chuckled, handing her a fork. Eat before the evidence disappears. She laughed, settling at the table, and Ryan joined her, sliding into the chair across from hers. For a moment, they just ate in comfortable silence, the kind that feels earned like a reward for surviving storms. Halfway through her pancake, Brittney set down her fork, eyes soft. You know, she said, I still think about that night in the park. Ryan raised an eyebrow. The jogger yelling proposal? She laughed. That too. But mostly what you said. About stripes. Ryan smiled faintly, sipping his coffee. Sometimes they fade. Brittney reached across the table, fingers brushing his. Mine did. Ryan turned his hand, lacing his fingers with hers. I know. Her phone buzzed on the counter. Brittney glanced at it, then back at Ryan. Want to know something? Always. I don't even lock my phone anymore, she said, smiling. Not because I think you'll check it, because I know you won't need to. Ryan squeezed her hand gently. Trust isn't blind, he said softly. But sometimes it's earned. Brittney's eyes shimmered, and Ryan felt that familiar warmth bloom in his chest, the kind that had nothing to do with pancakes and everything to do with possibility. The oven timer beeped suddenly, loud and shrill. Brittney jumped, laughing. What now? Ryan groaned. Garlic bread. She blinked. Garlic bread? At breakfast. Ryan grinned. Don't question greatness. She laughed so hard she nearly spilled her coffee, and Ryan thought, this is what I wanted. Not perfection. Just this. Later, as they curled up on the couch, Brittney resting her head on Ryan's shoulder, he thought about the past. The heartbreak, the silence, the years of believing stripes never fade. And then he looked at her, warm and steady beside him, and smiled. Sometimes they do. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you get a second chance to find out.